The sun had fair rising, but the marketplace in Adigrat was already upcoming live while I went to trip. Many decades of homemade parterre on the lining the road wherever a team of female traders were screening chickpeas. In else location an old man was removal chickens of cages and placement them external his store. You can buy nearly whatever at the marketplace, spices, house material, fridges and wash machines. The marketplace in the Ethiopic city, fair 38 km, 24 miles, southward of the boundary, has been converted with the boundary outdoor 4 persons months ago following a world transactions ended the country of warfare among the two nations. Lot Eritreans now crucifix above to see which they can purchase. Mibrit Gabrihans, a medium-aged female in a big smiling, is one of the traders whose industry is rapidly developing. She was lively discovery a bag complete of crisp spices and was inviting above capacity customers while I met her. Which we terror is warfare. We loving world. While the Eritreans go to the marketplace, I greet them in a smile person. They buy spices, med, harpoon and though biscuits. And we buy various clothing of them, she told. While the boundary newly opened, we were concerned down there would be shortages of several things, but down there hasn't been. All is regular, she added. Fair downward the way, down there was a chapter of shops marketing plasticity goods, a vividly color water supply storage tank to jerry cans to plasticity sandals. Store proprietor Haile Bisrat said me merrily how treat his Eritrean brothers so was not just on binding world. It as well done nice finance feeling. We get to do a slight more than income rather than up as the marketplace is in a superior country while the boundary at first newly opened, as lot as 2,000 Eritreans were upcoming each 1 week. The numbers include lost downward a slight, but how's maybe since they've purchased all they requested. Adigrat was complete of cars and freight transport in Eritrean register numbers. Lot of the freight transport we saw were transport house material love concrete and building cables. But little cars were as well transport enormous loads of consumer goods love mattresses, cereal grains and wash machines. At the regional bus plant, touts were shouting the behalf of the Eritrean equity, Asmara, hoping to paint in Eritrean customers. Bayin Tould was one of them. He had passing hundreds of many kilometers to store there. I came to buy which I requirement. So I've got shoes, glass and spices. This prices are really equitable. Up the opening of the boundary, I utilized to buy all in Asmara. But of wherever I dwell, it's superior to go to Adigrat rather than Asmara. The opening of several of the boundary crossings, consisting one over the 1 week, is portion of the world transactions signed recent July by Eritrea's CEO Isaias Afwerki and Ethiopic Main Secretary Abiy Ahmed. The treaty has as well seen tactful bonds renovated and telephone links among the two countries recovered following creature cut off for almost too many decades. The warfare, fought above the accurate position of the overall boundary, began in May 1998 and leftward tens of thousands of human beings' corpse. You may as well love, it ended in 2000 in the signature of the Algiers Treaty. But world was never completely recovered as early Ethiopic administrations by the deceased Main Secretary Meles Zenawi and his heir Haile Mariam Desalegn rejected to completely carry out a governing by a boundary committee set in regulation the treaty. But recent July, Main Secretary Abiy and CEO Isaias coordinated to end the dispute and Porter in which they named a brand new era of world how has seen relations among the two countries and some neighboring state flourish. Zalambesa, fair southward of the boundary, was on the front line and ill hit by the dispute. All in the city was destroyed, 50-year-old Kifl Kebed said me as he stared in the dust box in front line of him. Though currently, the signs of the harm are apparent. Compressed and neglected buildings dot the little city. Several carry the signs of creature fire time, other include shot holes on their walls. It wouldn't be a lie if I said you how Zalambesa very looked love a box in fair driven piles of stone. All you could see were rock and mud, Mr. Kifl added, but lifetime seems to be back to regular next recent butterfly's departure of military of contested territories. Families love Mr. Kifl's, that had fled the dispute, include begun to back to their homes. While I met him, he was lively observing the finish touches in his draft to restore his household that was ruined at the altitude of the dispute. He sensed a ultimate industry prospect. Zalambesa is the recent city up Eritrea, and our Eritrean brothers are now upcoming and departure each date. We might do our own industry of the building or lease it of. Up, renovation, a building in a city wherever not a solitary car consumable the overnight fare wasn't cost it. Now is the period, Mr. Kifl told eagerly. Up recent September, it was unfeasible to use the way connecting Eritrea and Ethiopia how went via Zalambesa as it was fully close away. Enormous boulders were through the way block accessing to the boundary region, but now lot of Eritrean cars are fleeting via down. There has been a damper in latter weeks in moves how include driven mess and ambiguity above the next of the outdoor boundary crossings. In a surprise party judgment, officials told such fleeting via the boundary should include preliminary permission of their relevant countries. No one Ethiopia nor Eritrea include taking into account a precise sign why the monitoring measures were put in location, but they are hardly to sniff out the feeling of hopefulness in the boundary towns.